at the Matsuri Festival. She was a longtime editor of the Roundup, our monthly newsletter, editing, designing, and mailing, out to 200 members. And she helped organize the 2006 JACL National Convention at Wild Horse Pass, which I should mention, we have an album from that event, a photo album, over at the table. It's wonderful to flip through and see some of the great photos from 2006. She currently works as a certified pharmacy technician and enjoys spending time with her family and friends, but most of all, her granddog, Sebi? There we are. So congratulations, Michelle. You're very worthy of this recipient. Thank you for your energy and time and dedication to the JACL.
That was 2006. I remember, yeah.
Something like that. And we went to the Tucson and we had lunch with everybody, so I was there. It's kind of when we first met. Yeah, so kind of a little historical, little connection. And so anyway, just wanted to thank everybody for this, and it's been a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So a little tangent, just because she brought it up. I actually happen to have a photograph here. The historic plate being held by Mons Sinoshita. So these are his hands. He was the original caretaker of the home plate. And after he passed, it was passed on to Ted Nava, who became the caretaker. And then after Ted, it was passed on to me. So I am the caretaker for Zender's home plate, making sure it's in good hands. Just want to show that. Our next recipients, we have a couple. We have Seiko and Alan Watkins. They are being honored for decades of service to the JACL community. Sadly, Alan passed away in 2019 and was intended to be the recipient of this award in 2020, but was canceled due to the pandemic. So we want to honor both of them today. So Seiko, can you please approach that? Let me share the background of Seiko and Alan. They were married in 1983. Alan Watkins was a native of California and an Air Force veteran, and spent a lifetime career as an airline mechanic. After retirement, he became an active volunteer in the JACL, where he participated in the investment committee and cared for the JACL Hall, performing routine maintenance, coordinating volunteers to clean the hall, and coordinating contractors to paint, etc., and also make the hall ADA compliant. Seiko is a native of Glendale, Arizona, and an ASU grad, and she taught elementary school for 30 years. And before and since her retirement, she's been super dedicated to the JACL community, including serving on the board of directors, the scholarship committee, teachers' workshops, ladies' activity day, co-chair for the annual picnic, the registration committee, the Sayonara banquet for the 2006 event that we mentioned earlier. Active in the Summer Bowling League, helps maintain the hall. She served on the Japanese Friendship Garden fundraiser committee that helped establish the Friendship Garden. And of course, she volunteers at Arizona Matsuri, the Japanese Senior Center, and during the pandemic, she delivered bento meals to the JA community. And she has traveled to Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and the Philippines, and most of her frequent flyer miles are now to California to visit and spoil her 4.5-year-old grandson. So please join me in recognizing Seiko and Alan Watkins for decades of service.
But thank you very much for this honor. I appreciate it. I love what I do, so that's why I do it. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have another student essay read from Joshua Tominaga. Josh, are you here?
So my essay prompt was, how do we fight injustice? And in my essay, I talked a lot about the past and how it was mostly racial injustice that we were fighting. From the very start, much of our country was actually built on inequality and injustice. Laws originally created to suppress certain groups. And our main contribution to why the fight for equality is as tough as it is. I also talked about how acting out and fighting for what we believe in allows for change to happen, and as it is commonly said, it is the duty of the people to display civil disobedience when they feel it is needed. I researched about a Japanese American named Fred, who originally opposed Executive Order 9066, refusing to go to the internment camps. And even after going through some plastic surgery and changing his identity, he was eventually arrested and imprisoned. It was after the war, when all Japanese Americans were released, that he would challenge the court on his case. And he wanted the government to admit their wrongdoings and believed that it was important in order to prevent maybe even another mass incarceration from happening. His actions and defiance symbolized to me resistance and how we should oppose injustice and fight off inequality. Recently, I reread my essay, since originally I was just going to read my essay up here. But while reading my essay, it made me reflect upon my current generation and what we are doing to fight injustice. In my essay, I talked a lot about the fight against racial inequality. I realized that I think the fight for inequality is always shifting. Back then, it was more about race, but I think nowadays, in my generation, it is also the fight against homophobia, transphobia, and fighting for equality for all sexual orientations. And recently, I had kind of an eye-opening experience with how present homophobia and transphobia are in my current generation. My school recently had a walkout for LGBTQ rights and equality. And as I was walking down the halls of my school, me and a couple of my friends overheard people talking about how they would beat up anyone who joined the walkout. Similar comments were made from even people that I know in class, which surprised me and at the time made me speechless. Even if it was just a joke, the language they used about talking about the group of people was appalling, and in my mind it's never acceptable. The whole situation reminded me of how racial groups back in the day would have to deal with similar encounters. And to me, what differentiates hating on racial minorities from hating people of different sexual orientations? Ultimately, I do believe as a society we are progressing towards the right thing, towards that golden world where everyone can be equal. Obviously, it isn't possible to reach complete equality where 0 people will have a problem, but as long as we are fighting towards it and making progression as time goes on, I think we're doing the right thing. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Josh. That was great. We're going to deviate just a little bit from our plan, and I believe we have another reading. Dylan, would you like to join us?
So my essay was about Fred Korematsu and how he had an impact for fighting injustice. Right, but I would like to relate that to my bachan who went through the internment camps. So Mr. Korematsu's actions had an impact on my bachan. My bachan, Kaoru Fuji Sugiyama, was born on March 22nd, 1931. She was 11 years old when the government removed her and her family from their Northern Carolina home and forced them to live in the Gila River Indian Reservation in Arizona. Her family stayed in the Gila River internment camp for 3 years, in which they were separated from their father and their older brother, who were taken to New Mexico. Right? My mother recalled that she would have to read letters from her father to a man at the camp. She realized later these officials already knew what the letter said, and they wanted to see if she was lying and be disloyal. After the war, she and her family moved back to California, and her family had to rebuild their life and farm and try to be safe in their own home. She faced racism and hatred from not only Caucasian peers, but other racial groups. She had told my mother that when she was at UC Berkeley, she tried to rent an apartment near the university, but was told it was already rented. A few days later, my bachan saw the same for rent sign on the same apartment again. My bachan became an activist in her own way by speaking about her time at the Gila River internment camp and speaking out against her treatment as a Japanese American. During this, she would also do multiple interviews and articles for the media. My great-grandmother and my bachan received the money, the redress, and the reparation from the government. Many people thought the money and apology should be enough for the Japanese internees to feel vindicated, but the bottom line is that my family did not get the time back that they spent in the internment camp and lost their freedom and their land. In conclusion, I am learning of ways to fight injustice and using my voice like Mr. Korematsu, educating myself as a member of the JACL and the Arizona Buddhist Temple. I've been encouraged to learn challenges as a Japanese American and how to fight injustice in other ways. Thank you.
So I just want to point out that Arizona is one of the few states that recognizes Fred Korematsu Day. So it's January 30th, and the official day name for the holiday is the Fred Korematsu Day of Civil Liberties and the Constitution. So just wanted to let everybody be aware of that. There are many people in this room who helped advocate for that. John, thank you. I also want to connect some dots here. I'm going to bring it back to baseball. Yesterday was Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball. April 15th was the day that he integrated the game. I think of Fred Korematsu and Jackie Robinson in the same light, and actually they're a day apart. Fred Korematsu's birthday was January 30th, 1919. Jackie Robinson was January 31st, 1919. So they were peers, generational peers. Although I'm told that Fred Korematsu was a Giants fan. And Jackie obviously was a Dodgers fan. And at the end of his career, if he was traded to the Giants, he said, I'd rather retire than play for the Giants. So, wanted to let everybody know about that very important piece of trivia for Fred Korematsu and Jackie. All right. So with that, we're going to have a moment of gratitude from Hunter Needy. Hunter, you want to share some words? Would you like to approach the microphone? Am I catching you off guard?
Good afternoon, my name is Hunter Needy, and I just wanted to first say I'm very thankful for this opportunity today. I stand up here today on behalf of all JACL-AZ scholarship and essay winners to say thank you to Mr. Bill Staples, as well as the JACL-AZ board and volunteers. None of this would have been possible without all of us, so thank you. I also wanted to thank the JACL Scholarship Committee and the JACL Scholarship judges and the essay judges, because obviously you guys helped us a lot. Thank you guys for everything. A special thank you to all the family and friends who have continuously pushed us and supported us to be the best possible versions of ourselves, so thank you. And thank you for all of you guys for coming out today. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Hunter. It was great. The words that were shared here today by our students really filled me with a great sense of hope for our community in the future. So thank you. It was nice. So I want to say congratulations to our award winners, the essay and scholarship winners. We're going to close out our event today with music from the Koshio family and a benediction from Reverend Lynn Suyama. But before that, if you have not already, we encourage you to take some time and visit the exhibit, Rebuilding Home Plate. Again, it will be here till May 30th, and then we're closing it down and moving on. In addition, there's some fascinating World War II history upstairs, and some familiar faces from the JACL community that you'll enjoy seeing up there. So do take some time to do that. So I want to thank all of our board members and volunteers who helped make today possible. I want to thank the Arizona Heritage Center for hosting our event today. I think we all remain cool compared to sitting outside. It was warm, so good call on making that pivot. And thank you all to everybody here joining us today and celebrating the Japanese American Citizens League community. So thank you. Take it away.
Okay. Ready to see Bill Staples. Yeah. Thank you very much. I just want to say one more thing about myself. This happy says the Hiroshima Taiko Hozonkai. So originally I'm from Nagoya, Japan, but I've been learning this traditional song from Hiroshima, 1,000 years old. It's 1,000 years old song. So today we don't have enough people to play that song. I'm not playing that song, but you know, young generations keep on recognizing our history in the United States as the Japanese ancestors. So myself, I'm a new Issei. So it means that my son keep on going the generation to live in this world as a Japanese heritage. But again, so like the gentleman, he said about the new kind of issues to think about. So when I got to 9/11, so when I went to Manzanar, always Muslim people's kind of reactions what was happening. So today, even just the Dr. Fred Corman's story was here. So when I talked to Karen, the daughter, she's been doing the activity here too. But they wanted to invite me to perform for the 20 years some annual event to California in San Francisco. But I wish I could go, but I didn't take a vaccine. They didn't welcome to me. So, I mean, I'm not saying nothing right or wrong, but that kind of things today, we have another separation. So it means next song I'm going to play, it's called Zoku in Japanese, means clans or family. So it means this is absolutely spirit of Hiroshima, where we got, and a lot of maybe ancestors from you guys, maybe from Hiroshima, or in Nagasaki too. So this one is called Zoku. Please enjoy and play together.
the gown?
Thank you very much. I'm trying to say that, but I know that my heart was able to beat the drum at least, so that was good. I just want to say on behalf of the Arizona Buddhist Temple, I want to thank JACL for asking me to speak today, and also congratulate our JACL scholarship winners, and also for the students who wrote their essays. Very wonderful words that they had written and spoke of today, and also to the winners of the Golden Award. So thank you very much. I also want to say just one more thing. You know, for Sarah Clarity, you know, she died in 1962, and so my father was a student of hers. So my father came from Japan to the United States, to Arizona, back in the late 1950s. And so for him to learn English, he learned it from Mrs. Clarity. So going back to when my father was elderly, back in 2010, you know, for many, many years, on Memorial Day, my father would go to the cemetery over at Indian Memorial on the south side of the northern, and that is where Mrs. Clarity's gravesite is at. So I think about that, and I think about how much my father appreciated Mrs. Clarity and how she tried to teach my father English. And so, you know, every Memorial Day, my father would go there with some flowers. And also, at the site, at Mrs. Clarity's gravesite, there would be flowers there also from other people. So I know how much she's appreciated by this community. Because when she passed away, she didn't have any children, so this community was her family for Mrs. Clarity, I'm pretty sure. So I'm sure she's very grateful that she's honored like this from JACL, from this community. So in closing, please join in Gasho. Let's pray together. So we are thankful for this wonderful meal and for this wonderful event which we have received and taken part of. So may the gratitude of the Amida Buddha enable us to work even harder for the benefit of our community and everyone. Please join me in Gasho. Namai Dautsu. Namai Dautsu. Namai Dautsu. Gotsusama deshita. Thank you.
Our goal was to wrap things up at 2:30, and we are 4 minutes away. Just some housekeeping items before we do wrap up. Our community is about 210 members. If you're not a member of the JACL, please consider joining. One of the benefits of joining is you get to be a member of the bowling team. Joyce, can you remind me the date of the next bowling?
May 18th.
May 18th. All right. So we're seeking bowlers, so contact us if you'd like to participate. And finally, we did take individual photos of all of our award winners. We need to do some group photos at the end of the session, so please don't run out the door just yet. We'll meet up here, we'll take some group photos. So thank you everybody. We're a few minutes early. Perfect. Go see the exhibits. Enjoy the afternoon. I believe the doors close at 5 o'clock. You don't have to stay till then. All right? Group photos.